Yeah, good.
All right.
Okay, so we are live now.
Yeah. Damn.
So now we need to just wait for the coacher.
Yeah. It's weird. I feel like we've been planning this for so much longer than we actually have.
Yeah.
How can we see if like who's watching and how many people are watching?
So if you go to comments, when
Right?
people are watching, that'll come up. I'm not sure when you'll see when people are watching. Uh, we currently have no viewers, but yeah.
I'm gonna go share the link to the group chat.
On this channel. I've just done that.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay. I will share it to. It says two people watching on my phone. Is that just us?
No, that will be two people watching, I think.
All right. Um,
So do you have any new additions planned?
Not recently. Probably the newest one would be the crested gecko.
Cool.
Um, the new one to be in the Houghton show in December.
Cool.
What about you?
I've got some Balfouries on the way.
Right, yeah, I remember that. Are you gonna keep them communally or separately?
Probably communally.
Nice. I was recently watching or reading a study done about the Deathstalkers.
Yeah.
And apparently, I mean, I would never do it, but apparently they can be kept successfully communally. I thought that
Yeah.
was interesting.
I wouldn't risk it because, like, I've got a pair of Heterometrus pedicite communal, but that's about it.
Right. Yeah, but I feel like pairs are different than like actually communal.
Yeah. It's, like, from what I've seen with Heterometrus pedicite, they only really do well in pairs before you move them on.
Right. Yeah. Also, something that I really want to do would be get some monitor lizards and get them paired up. A little
Yeah.
bit like how Dakota has his Argus set up and his. Did you see his new Quince monitors?
Yeah, it is.
That's sick. Something like that.
What?
I feel like that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so what species would you be after then? Like,
Let's see. Varanus Salvatore would be amazing.
yeah, because you were going to get one of those at one point.
Definitely at one point. Hopefully, when I move, I'll
Yeah.
probably in the next year or two, I'll have enough space to either pick up a Argus or a water monitor. I was thinking
Yeah.
black throat, but that's like a little bit pushing the size limit.
Yeah. Ollie is in the chat. But
Nice.
yeah.
Is he comment something?
Yeah, you can have a
Oh.
look.
Yeah, I was on private chat.
Yeah. Are you doing it from your phone then?
No, I'm on my computer.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let me just
Yeah.
get some bugs and stuff lined up so I can show some off.
Yeah, I'm in my room. I should probably, while we're both going, I'll go grab some.
Yeah, Ollie, I'm good, thanks. How are you? And we have a guest.
Did
Hello.
it?
Yeah.
Oh wait.
What's
Hello?
up?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Okay, there we go. I can never know if I have to plug it into my microphone, my laptop.
Welcome.
How you doing?
Good, you?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Give me 1 second. I have to close my door. I see the new tattoo on your face.
Yeah. Wait.
Looks sick. It's nice.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I was surprised it didn't hurt at all. I thought going down. My webcam mirrors, so it's hard. I thought going down the jaw was gonna be a little painful, but it wasn't too bad. Hang on, just.
Well, I guess we could get started
Yeah.
with the questions and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go find the questions. I wrote them all down. Do you want to go first, Ben?
Yeah, let me just get the questions up. So, yeah, so do you have any controversial opinions when it comes to the hobby? Like, I don't know, cohabitating geckos or whatever?
Controversial opinions. I mean, I guess as far as controversial, the biggest one seems to be the spider gene. Obviously, I have the spider gene. I got a bumblebee yellow belly. The macaw hears me. Pretty much my stance has always been on it. I don't know why so many people want government regulations through it. And, there's so many people trying to ban the spider morph and getting the government involved, which is never a good thing. I mean, you can look at what was happening in Florida, what happened in Maine, etc. I've always been on the mindset that if you don't like the spider gene, then don't own it, don't support it, boycott it. If the market is demanding enough to where a bunch of people do not want the spider gene, then the gene will diminish. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't see. I mean, of course, the severity of the neurological issues seems to vary between snake to snake. Mine has zero problems. I could put it right next to any of my other ball pythons, and you couldn't tell which one has an issue, if any. But it seems to vary. I know some. I mean, especially if you're doing things like keeping it too hot, stressing it out too much, the neurological issue can worsen in effect. But as far as I've seen, there's been quite a few that have little to no issue.
Right. Yeah, I was watching earlier today some older videos about the spider gene, some of the newer videos when it first was a new gene, right? And it seems to have actually gotten a lot better now that we've been breeding it so much more. I don't know how much better, but I'm seeing more cases where people are saying their spider has no problems at all. And, I personally think, I personally don't own any spider ball pythons, nor do I think I will breed them in the future. But at the same time, I have no harsh opinions to people who do breed them. Because I think if you breed a gene enough where it has problems, or you figure out the problems with it, maybe, you find a different gene that creates the same look, but, eliminates the problems. I think if you try to breed it long enough, you'll figure those problems out. And then it can be a gene where we have no problems and there's no controversy,
I think,
for sure.
Certainly the main problem with the spider gene is people breeding spider to spider, if that makes sense, because they all came from one animal out of the wild. So just don't breed spider to spider and you should be good, because I've seen spider to pinstripe, which is a spinner, and they seem to be all right. Well, the majority of them do.
Right. Spider is dominant, right?
Yeah, spider's a dominant mutation. I know that the super form of it is lethal, And so that's usually why people tend to stick away from spider to spider, just because, I mean, even getting down to, you know, throwing out morality and anything like that, from a practicality standpoint, those snakes aren't going to hatch. So if you're operating in kind of business, I mean, that's just not good. Not to mention, you know, you're just breeding dead snakes or snakes that just aren't viable, which is just a shitty thing to do. I don't know why anyone would do it. But yeah, for the most part, I've yet to see any people in this day and age trying to breed spider to spider together.
Yeah.
Right. I actually saw one person. They didn't actually do it, but I was talking to someone. They were talking about trying it. I did explain the problems with it. I don't know if they actually went through with it, but there was one person that I was talking to that was kind of thinking about it. But yeah, it seems pointless. I mean, if it's dominant, you know, I mean,
you're already going to get most of your shit with spiders, so I don't, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another question. I just saw one of your more recent videos about your new facility.
Yeah.
Like, if you wanted to share any of the plans that you had there, if you have any big plans for it.
For sure. So, I mean, like the video on it's new. I've had this building for about a year and a half. I've just been working on it this entire time. It was so the building used to be, way back, it was a barn that then got refurbished into a garage that I then refurbished into a reptile building. So this thing was one floor. It had a hayloft, but the hayloft was closed off. So we had to get in there, cut it out, make some stairs to get in there, insulated the attic. We did a bunch of just malicious, meticulous stuff that you need to do to get a building operational. And then at that point, I started showing it off. So there's still tons of work that needs to be done. I'm just now at this point getting getting the walling done. So obviously, you know, I get some slack on YouTube comments about people saying it looks like I'm putting reptiles in an attic. So we're getting the walls done upstairs, then getting the flooring done. So we don't have just this plain old wood flooring, just making it a little more professional looking. But it's been going pretty good. As far as big plans, I can't wait to do the downstairs. That'll definitely be the just the grow out monitor enclosure. So once they've outgrown those grow tents, like the Arguses, things like that, we'll be setting up some full nice enclosures. I want to be doing some hallway stuff. So they'll be about 14 feet by 8 feet by 9 foot. And we'll have a pair of Argus in there. We'll, of course, have that quince group a year or two from now. Just a bunch of cool stuff.
Right. Once you've quarantined that trio of quinces, do you plan to introduce your older quince to the group?
Before I definitely did, but at this point, I mean, the babies are like real tiny. I mean, we're talking, they're probably about this big. And of course, my quince is I'd probably give them about 2.5 feet. So maybe later on, but at this point, I think I'm just going to keep the trio with the trio and keep the male as is. But once they put on a little more weight and size to them, I might start introducing them later.
Right. How are they all doing? All the babies, the new ones?
The two youngest ones are doing great. Still super active and everything. That older one's still a little lethargic and still looks a little dehydrated. You know, looks a little wrinkly, I guess would be the term. But he is eating, which is good to know. So hopefully we can pull him out and get him to looking good.
Right. Wow. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I got to say, I'm totally jealous of all your monitors. I mean, I have a red tegu, Argentine red tegu.
Yeah.
And a Savannah monitor.
The Savs are cool. I was just talking to Trevor over at Tragic Reptiles. He's getting pretty big into Savannah monitors and breeding them. I think he has like a group of 5 at this point in a pretty substantial enclosure. So I've been getting pretty good looks at Savannah monitors. Tegus have always been awesome. I love my of course Hobbs, the black and white Argentine. Fortunately, I don't know, something about with him goes into brumation so early and then just takes forever to come back. So he's already been down for like a month at this point. I don't expect to see him till like April. Yeah, I don't know. I think it just happens to be with the New England weather as well. We're already getting into winter here. I mean, it was about 30 degrees last night. So I just think that barometric pressure drop and, of course, the colder temps coming in, I think they just realized and started heading down.
Yeah, in the Netherlands, I'm in the Netherlands, by the way. It's freaking cold now. I mean, today I think it was like 65, 50.
That's pretty cold, I think.
Somewhere in that range. And that was during the day. So the weird thing is, though, I tried to get mine down under because let's be real here. I think that's one of the things I like about Tegus is half the year you don't have to do jack with them, you know?
There you go. You save on your. I admire all tegu breeders, and I think that's a great business model, just because of the fact that 4 to 7 months out of the year, your feeding bill is zip, your electricity zip. I'm like, ooh, that is the market to get into. However, I just don't have the space. I think enough people are doing tegus for me to kind of not put my hat in that rank.
Right. In the Netherlands, I really want to get into tegu breeding, the red tegus. In the Netherlands, there's only one person who's doing it.
Wow.
At least that's like successful and, that I know of. But mine doesn't go down. She just does not go down. I turn the heat down slowly, get her off food. She just doesn't go down. And
That's
it's like,
just stubborn.
bruh, come on, I'm trying here, But
I guess
whatever,
we have the opposite problem.
Yeah. I guess we'll move forward with the questions, Ben.
Yeah. I've asked this question a bunch on your streams, but have you ever thought about getting into the invertebrate side of things?
I have. I've actually been looking a lot more into it. I think we're definitely going to go with a few different millipede species. I had stuff like this was years ago. I think they're the brown bomber millipedes. I don't know if my manager back at the pet store I used to work at labeled that correctly, but we had a few millipedes, some ivories, bumblebees, things like that, and I kind of got off of them for a bit. I had just some strange things. Best beetles I had for a bit. It was just a weird expo find that I got. I had those for a little bit, but definitely want to get a little more into the millipedes. I really wanted to get into some tarantulas, but I just found out about a month ago that almost all tarantula species are illegal in Maine. I don't know why, but
that sucks, man.
Yeah, it's just another reason on my stack of reasons to get out of this state. But for sure, I know my wife's definitely into the mantises. She's had ghost mantises, orchids, things like that. So I know she'll definitely start getting a couple more as soon as expos start opening back up.
Yeah, same. I just got back into mantises. Right now I'm keeping ghost mantises, orchid mantises. I have some giant Asian mantises. I have a different species. I don't know the common name, but the scientific name is Deraplates truncata. It's a pretty interesting species. I don't know the common name. I usually use scientific names with my
The Colombian deadleaf, I think that one.
Yeah, I think that's it.
So I've obviously got this adult female giant Australian. I've got a couple of males coming for her. I've got a pair of orchids.
I love the orchids.
Yeah. Mine's just a tiny little nymph, like tiny.
I've got violin mantis, and I've got the ghosts as well.
Yeah, this is my biggest mantis at the moment, and even she's still just a baby. This is the giant Asian.
Yeah, they are awesome.
Nice.
She's really chill. She's like hand feedable and, walks right up onto your hand. That's why I like this species for beginners.
Yeah, my biggest mantis passed away recently. This is the African grass mantis, so I'm pinning her up now.
I like my wife's definitely into the pinning stuff as well. She has a bunch of usually any of the mantis dies, she pins them and then hangs them in some shadow boxes.
Yeah.
I've had inverts die. I just never thought about pinning them. My mind's just been in other places, but I definitely want to start pinning. It seems like it's really cool to just kind of preserve them in that way.
I've seen it's a little difficult. It's not as easy as it looks, especially for butterflies and stuff. She can go wrong pretty fast.
Yeah,
There's a certain way to do it. I know that.
I think the main thing is just have hundreds of pins, just so you can open every millimeter of skin from the mantis or tarantula or whatever.
The harder things to pin are definitely spiders and scorpions, because you need to extract their insides, which isn't the most pleasant thing. But yeah, it takes its time with them. But mantis are just easy.
I can see, especially with scorpions, just because they have a harder exoskeleton as well than common or mantis or butterflies or anything like that.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know, with scorpions, do you have to also hollow out the stinger?
No, you don't. But to get it to stand up, you basically just shove a wire through it. This is my smallest adult scorpion. Well, one of the smallest ones. This is the Liocheles australasiae, also known as the dwarf wood scorpion. But
I
yeah,
only have one scorpion species at the moment, kind of like a bad one species, but that's a deathstalker. Like
yeah,
super venomous. One of the most venomous species of scorpions in the world. Like, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
for an adult, they probably wouldn't kill you. You just, unless you had an allergic reaction, which is pretty common.
You just have like a pretty bad time.
Oh, dude. Oh,
Yeah.
worst time I think you could imagine, bro. Absolute.
And
Oh,
because we've had a problem here in the UK with a bunch of people selling them illegally,
yeah.
the deathstalkers and other species, and these are, but scorpions are awesome.
I really dig the nightlight stuff that they do. So they
Yeah,
like glow in the dark, basically.
I
it's
forget
weird
the science
because
behind that. Will it, Ben, do you
on
remember?
I'm not entirely sure, but on scorpion specimens about 64 million years old, so around the time the dinosaurs um existed, the UV light still works on them.
I remember I watched a video a while ago about it. I'm like 50% sure it's something to do with the pigments in their I don't know what's called their skin
Yeah,
that reflects the light in a certain way, but
yeah,
I don't remember.
yeah.
Anyway, I'll do the next question so we can move on a bit. Um, like, what are your future breeding plans? You know, if you have any like dream species that you really want to work with or anything like that.
Oh man, so I mean, we got like some pretty big dreams. I guess it depends like how far out you're thinking. I definitely want to really dive heavily into monitors. That'll be probably like my passion projects. So of course, once we get these Argus monitors going, the Aki's going, getting some eggs from them, I want to dive into more of the tree monitors. I definitely want to get into some emeralds, blues, and the black trees. Start getting some pairs of those, and then diving into some other monitor species as well later on. Definitely as far as like pretty recent, or I guess next year, 2021, I definitely want to add on to my ball python project. I think we only have like 3. We really only have a breeding pair right now. I just kind of wanted to get them paired, laid, hatch out some eggs before I start spending some serious cash on it. Other than that, definitely some other New Caledonian geckos. I'm pretty stoked about the gargoyle. We just, I believe there's actually a second clutch in there right now, and then we have the eggs laid from them. So I definitely want to get into some gargoyles, and then perhaps some chihuahuas later on as well.
Yeah, that's cool. Right now, I'm just starting my crested gecko projects. Yeah, I just got a male, getting a female in December. I also really want to work with the lined geckos, I think they're called.
Yeah,
Do you know that species?
they'll
The
soon.
lined geckos. Yeah, I think I know. Aren't they part of the Europlatus species?
No, they're similar. I forget what genus they're in, but they're just kind of brown with a really nice white stripe down the middle of them. Decent size as well, bigger than a crested gecko, like tokay size, about that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, yeah, that's kind of it. Well, do you plan to work with any water monitors or black throat monitors, like some of the true giants in the future?
As far as blackthroats, definitely water monitors. I just don't have the $10,000 to $17,000 for some of the genetics. But yeah, definitely want to get into water monitors in the future. I'm not so sure about black and white throats. I know black throats, especially over here in the States, are pretty rare to find as far as like true black throats. Usually we just have the Cape Banded whites, but I'm just not for the amount of size they take up, I'm not as excited about them as some of the other species. So I think I'm going to refrain from getting any of the larger. It's something I like I just prefer the slender face and throat as they go down. Yeah. I think it just has a better appearance than these big blocky dudes. Plus, as far as the intelligence levels go, I found that just black throats don't really cut it as far as when you get into some of those larger species, such as the crocodiles and the Asian water monitors.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my Savannah monitor compared to my Tegu, he seems like an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, he just does dumb things. I mean, I've seen him do smart things. Like he learned how to open his cage, so I had to get a lock. And he's learned so many things that a bearded dragon, for example, couldn't. Right?
Yeah.
But just compared to my Tegu, I mean, just the way he looks at me, is completely different than a tegu.
Yeah. Could I just quickly interrupt this quickly because something
Yeah.
cool's happening with these.
What is that? Is that a Peter Mania? Ben? Oh, I think your audio cut out, mate.
Cool spider.
Yeah, I'm holding one right now. I was about to show it off. This is the. There we go. This is the Avicularia metallica. What's the common name for Avix, Ben?
Pink toes.
Pink toe. There you go. Metallic pink toe.
Yeah. I'm allergic.
Oh, it is right there.
Yeah, see, I feel out of the loop. I don't have any spiders to hold.
It's good, man.
Yeah.
You know, if you cannot keep tarantulas, do you know if you can keep true spiders? Because there's a bunch of sick true spiders you can keep.
I was thinking about jumping spiders, actually.
Bro.
They come in like a variety of different colors, and I just think they're pretty rad. So I might just go a little diving in on some different jumping spiders.
Yeah. Those are cool. Species I want to work with are the huntsman spiders.
Huntsmans are cool.
Like the David Bowies. Ben will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Those are a specific species of huntsman. Some of them get massive. Beautiful coloration, greens, yellows. Really cool species.
Yeah, look.
Super food aggressive as well.
Down there now.
I'm pretty sure the common name for those, if you're wondering, is Venezuelan tiger or sun tiger. I'm not sure, though.
Doing there is he's using his pedipalps to deposit sperm, and I need to make sure he doesn't get eaten now, because
But yeah, I guess I'll go to the next question while Ben's doing his thing with his spiders. How do you think the prices will change in the future? Like, you know, I know in the past, I mean, albino ball python sold for like what, 34,000? Was that it, something like that?
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
albino?
I mean, I think albino's really going for like, I think those were the higher ones, like 50 or 70 even.
Right. I just want to say, Ben, you're crazy for doing that. That's like not the friendliest species.
he's just done his job. I'm just hoping he doesn't bite me. But yeah.
I think that's everyone's hope. But like, you know, in the future, do you think everything will get like cheap to the point where no one's going to be making money, or do you think there's always going to be something new to profit off of?
I guess it depends on what species you're looking at.
I mean, let's just say like snakes in general. You know, that's kind of like hard to generalize, but like, do you get what I mean?
Yeah. Again, I think it's really based on the species. Certain things just seem to hold their value. I think the market will always stand as far as if everyone just stands their ground. A great example of that is going to be like poison dart frogs. Ever since the 80s, everyone's just basically taken a stand that you don't raise or lower the price of specific dart frog species, and that's just how it's been for 30 years. People just sell, you know, this dart frog for this much. I think the ball python market's always going to go up and down. I think it's just like take your basic car, like a 2001 Civic. I think it just reaches a point where it stops depreciating in value. Like the piebald, for instance, I think they'll always be a simple piebald will always be about $300. I don't think we'll ever get to a point where you're going to find piebalds for $75 just because of it being a recessive morph, things like that. So as far as marketability goes, there's definitely a lot of things to take into account. I see a lot of things trending and starting to go up, such as carpet pythons. Jungles seem to be getting a lot more looked at, whereas far as even like a couple of years ago, people really weren't digging carpets. There's a huge stigma and stereotype about them being, you know, mean, nasty snakes. But that seems to be going away, and especially with the more line breeding that we're doing, we've been able to pull a lot more vibrant colors. You're getting these really highlighter yellows with them. I think that's enticing a larger market of people wanting to start getting into them. Right.
Yeah. I mean, but also you have to think like, I agree with you on the fact that I don't think like piebalds are going to like suddenly drop to $75. But at the same time, I think they will drop to a point of 150, for example, because you have to think, we're always going to be coming out with new morphs. Maybe we find a way to turn paradox genetic, or, maybe we find a gene that just makes normal piebalds look like shite, and that becomes the new thing. Like, things could change in the way of, let's say, extreming that already existing gene to where the normal of that gene is just not as hyped up anymore, and they'll be forced to lower the price, which could result in less people breeding them, right? Because it is a lot of work because they're recessive and, all those problems. But, they're such a beautiful snake, and if people want to add on to that gene, I don't know if anyone will stop breeding them. So I think it depends on in what way you look at it, to the fact of, well, do I think this gene is going to keep changing? Because let's be real here, pieds are kind of the hot in the world right now, Like
pieds are pretty much, they're like one of the staples. Everyone knows what a ball python
exactly.
is.
I mean, even if they don't know the name, you show them and they're like, oh yeah, I've seen that before somewhere,
Yeah.
I mean, take the sumo pieds. You've seen those, right?
Yep.
Bro, those things are sick, man. If those get more popular, I just have a feeling that normal pieds will drop a little bit, even if it's like $25,
I don't know. I guess it goes back to, of course, supply and demand as well. Maybe they'll drop for an instance, but I mean, we can even take like normals. Normals were dirt. I mean, really nothing for quite a while, but they seem to be raising in value just because nobody's working on them. Nobody wants to take the time to breed normal ball pythons, so you don't really find them anywhere. Importation's slowing down, and
Right.
so finding an actual normal ball python is a bit of a rarity these days.
Right. Yeah. And also, like, breeders, they're trying to get like the crazy stuff, So even just like pastels or enchies or butters, the simple genes, those are also becoming less available because all the breeders are trying to go crazy, And I think for beginners, they're not willing to spend even $250 on a snake if they're like a kid getting their first snake,
Exactly.
So I think, I mean, I when I'm an adult, I plan to do full-time reptile breeding, and ball pythons and corn snakes being a big part of it. Like, I really plan to breed a lot of the basic stuff, because I think there's always going to be a market for it, and there's always going to be people who are going to want those normal snakes, I mean, they're beautiful animals normal, so why wouldn't someone want it,
For sure. I think definitely the way the market's going to swing in the next 10 to 15 years, because, I mean, really with ball pythons, we're kind of maxing out the potentials that we can get, and it's getting a little stale. I mean, making the world's first ball python in 2020 really doesn't feel like much of an accomplishment.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
because, you crammed 6 genes into a snake, congratulations. I think the market's going to start going with trying to perfect certain mutations. So we can take pastels, for example, and trying to create the perfect pastels. So either extracting whatever you really want at it, whatever is most appealing to you. I've seen people start working with we can take Olympus reptiles, for example. They have some different lines of pastels where one pastel is going to exuberate more of a highlighter yellow, kind of like the jungle carpet python, whereas they have some where the pigment's actually darker and you're getting more of an orangey pastel versus this bright yellow.
I mean, I've seen some pastels that almost look orange dreamy.
Exactly. So I think that's definitely where the market's heading, is now that we have really all the ingredients you can possibly imagine. I mean, 1,000 ball python breeders, I can imagine tens of thousands of snakes for sale everywhere. It's around the States. I don't mean to, exclude around the world. I'm just not too familiar with how the market is over there. But I think people are going to go more into perfecting the things that they like. So for instance, me, of course, that's pied, clowns, and bumblebees, and just trying to make something really special out of those specific combos or singular genetics.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I used to have a couple ball pythons that I was planning for breeding projects. I actually just recently sold all my ball pythons, trying to get into like the gecko stuff. But I had one snake. She was so nice, man. It was a pastel vanilla enchi, and like, it's not the most complex genetics, but damn, she was highlighter yellow. Like, I would say brighter than carpet pythons. Like, she was intense.
Yeah, she was. It looked like you put a filter on her. But
yeah. No, she was nice. She was nice. Bummed to see her go, but at the same time, I'm excited to start some new projects. But yeah, I definitely think you're right. I think the ball python is just never going to die. There's too many people in it. There's too many people who love them, But I think they're going to you know, I say 90% of the morphs that we know nowadays are going to change completely through line breeding and, you know, talking about lineage more. I see more people talking about lineage in the geckos nowadays.
Oh man,
Like
that's
that.
I'm having the roughest time selling these crested gecko breeders just because I don't have lineage on them. Lineage is definitely a huge thing, especially with crested geckos over here.
Yep, same here, same here. I mean, geez, I walked up, I was talking to some people, and bro, they knew like three generations down from their adult breeders.
Wow.
Like, bro, how? I mean, they really keep track. I'm trying to do the same. My male, I have no lineage on him, but I'm definitely gonna get lineage on the female. And for my babies, they're definitely I'm gonna keep good track of it, you know.
Yeah.
So, like without lineage, you're kind of screwed. But,
No one particularly cares about lineage.
say that again. You kind of cut out.
No one cares about lineage particularly here for animals, like unless it's something.
That's the place to go to then.
Yeah, unless it's something more specialist, you know, like bamboo rats, for example.
Right.
The Thai bamboo, I can always say Thai. The Thai bamboos are awesome. It's definitely something I want to look into. Some of the old world stuff.
Yeah.
It seems to, I don't know, lineage seems to always be tied into like the elitism that you find in the hobby. Carpet pythons, green trees seem to be the worst of it, where no one wants to do there's always like the two sides of either the lineage or the designer morphs, especially with green trees. And a lot of the lineage people tend to talk down on the guys that are just trying to make really cool green trees instead of keeping the lines as pure as we possibly can.
I don't really care for lineage, to be honest. I think it's kind of just a excuse to, I don't know what it'd be an excuse for, but it's an excuse for something, you know? I mean, it seems pointless, to be honest. I mean, you know, I get it. I get why they want it. But at the same time, I don't get, like, how, like, if you don't know the exact lineage, you're done not buying that animal, even if it's like a lily white, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of extreme, but, like, you get what I mean?
No, I get you. I think it has its place in certain aspects,
Right.
and I can see. I do think it's important. We can take indigos for example, and really with any reptile. I mean, you can only inbreed reptiles so much before you're going to start seeing those negative effects, and you only have as big of a gene pool as you have. You know, we only have so many indigo snakes in captivity, so many green tree pythons in captivity. So as time dwindles on, if we're not keeping track of that lineage and being careful with what we're breeding, you can see, you know, 20, 30, 40 years from now, those species start dwindling away just because we can't produce any more viable, thriving offspring out of that. Indigos, I think, are really the most important. I've seen a lot of people keep heavy track of the lineage on their indigo snakes just because we have such a small genetic pool of them in captivity.
But I feel like with ball pythons, like, dude, there are so many, you know.
I mean, all like when you take spiders, for example, there's only been one. There's one spider ball python, Kevin McCurley.
Right. Yeah.
And that was back in, I believe, the late '90s. And so all spider ball pythons are related to one another.
Right. Yeah. I see. You know, I saw a video of people talking about you know, ball python breeding, and you know, they were saying like they're kind of not into it just for the fact that they're all in somewhat kind of inbred, you know.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's always important when we do get those new imports, you know. It just changes up the genetics, and I feel like in such a drastic point that you don't even realize it. Like, you don't think about it, but I feel like it actually changes up so much.
Yeah, especially diversifying the gene pool and the bloodlines that you're doing. That's why, especially if you're doing like something like line project, it's always important to outcross every like 2 or 3 lines to just getting some new blood in there.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I'm gonna interrupt it for a second. This is my tiny little orchid.
Oh, I like orchids, man. I might have to get another one.
Yeah, you know, I had 2. The other one died. I mean, I got them all as L2 nymphs.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit young for orchids. The guy told me they were L3. I brought them in. They're definitely L2. But, I mean, yeah. I feel like, you know, if it's your first mantis, it's a horrible idea to get an orchid. I have a great feeling it's going to die very quickly. But I mean, once you're a little bit more experienced, I think they're great species. You just kind of have to get the nick of like proper humidity and stuff like that. Do your research, and then it's gonna go fine.
Yeah.
Ben, I'm gonna tell you, mate. Whenever you lean over your mic cuts out.
Oh yeah. So the number one problem with mantis is TikTok. That's just
I do
it.
agree with that.
Especially orchid mantis. Like last year, I could go out and buy an orchid mantis for like £6, which is something like $5, and $7 even. But yeah. But now because of TikTok, it's like $20 odd, which doesn't sound that much, but for mantis, that's
a lot.
Yeah.
We're talking about almost a 200% increase.
I guess, I mean, you also have to kind of understand, like, you see all these people getting like orchid mantises, to be specific, because that's kind of the thing on TikTok right now, and they're like, oh, look at my cool mantis, even though they're a pretty difficult species to keep.
Yeah.
All these people go out and buy them, theirs all die. They show them dying online. More people buy them, and it's just not good for the animals,
Yeah.
As well, it raises the price in such a drastic. You remember when Finding Nemo came out?
Yeah, all the clownfish. Yep.
They just jump up. I mean, for real. So it's really bad for the hobby, I think.
Yeah.
I think we each have one more question, right, Ben?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, you go first. You can go first.
So, is there anything you dislike about the reptile hobby?
It's pretty broad. I mean, you guys already know my opinion on Facebook groups. I think Facebook groups are definitely a cancer. I guess the elitism of it just seems like, I don't know, there's so many people that seem to talk down or feel like they're put on a higher level than others people in a magnitude of different things. And it seems to span, because of course there's so many subgenres of the hobby. We've got snake people, lizard people, monitor people, and then of course non-venomous, venomous, things like that. And it seems like every sector there's people that just think because they do things their way that it's the better way. We can take some of the popular, I call them venom tubers, Tyler Nolan, Will Nace, things like that. Yeah, free handling venomous snakes, and people get so much shit on that. When a lot of people at the hobby saying, they're being careless, blah blah blah.
Right.
I feel like at the end of the day, it's their animal, it's their snake. They can really do whatever the fuck they want. As far as the other thing always needs to be, if you put anything online, it has to be the perfect example. And I've been targeted a couple of times, even as a small of a channel I am, for people, putting animals in grow tents, not having these elaborate, amazing enclosures, getting so many animals. But I'm not a pet tuber, I'm not here showing off my pets. I'm not here, with my other job, spending just a small chunk, making sure my hobby looks nice and prim on business, and with that it means expansion, and with that is keeping as much of a budget as one can. And if that means grow tents work and it's giving everything the reptile can possibly need, but they don't aesthetically look as nice, I don't see a reason to talk down on me about that. Nor do I see a reason for, I don't know, people just to talk down on so many people. If you're given the proper information and the animal's fine, I don't see why everyone has to have this big high and mighty stance on everything.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I had my tegu in grow tent, my savannah monitor in grow tent, my boa constrictor in grow tent.
How did the boa work in the grow tent?
It actually works well. I did have to put a light because it was really dark. Not a heat light, I used heat pad, but I did put just like a normal lamp in there. And he did great. He was eating fine. The one thing I didn't like it for him is he would always get wrapped around the bars around it,
See, yeah, I'd be concerned because my girl's like 20 or 30 pounds at this point, so I'd be afraid of her knocking something down.
Mine, I'm not going to put him anymore. He's too big now. He's about 6 foot now. And he's still not like weight size fully grown. At length, I don't think he has much to go, but I think he's maybe 15, 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And now I would just be too scared he's going to bend the support beams, because you'd always wrap around them and it would just, I don't mess it up, and it wasn't very
Yeah.
nice. My one problem with it, my Savannah monitor, I had him in a grow tent, and he just ripped it.
Oh,
Like,
really? How big was he?
he was smaller than my Tegu. He was about 2 foot at the time, right?
Do you know what grow tent you used?
I don't remember the brand. I just bought one off Amazon.
I've yet to have a problem. And I hear people having, stuff like, oh, I'm having, X problem with ripping out. And I've yet to have it with, like, people have been saying, like, Chinese water dragons, monitors, things like that. And so far, I'm like 0 for 5 as far as ripped tents go.
Yeah, my Tegu, it never happened to him, and he went way more psycho on the sides. I mean, you could hear him at night just yeeting himself on the walls. Never had it with him. I think it was because I did cut some ventilation holes in the tent,
Mm-hmm.
and that might have weakened it, but he ripped it under the seam of the zipper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That was the only problem I've ever had with grow tents. Other than that, I love them. I think they're great, cheap alternatives.
Going back to one of the things I dislike about the hobby is certain pet tubers thinking they know the best and that they know no other way. Like,
Go herping.
Yeah, I wasn't going
I'm
to name
gonna put Go Herping on blast real quick for that Zen Habitat video. Thanks, asshole.
Yeah. But I think one of the main problems I have with him in particular.
Yeah, thanks. That's really helping out my sponsorship, dude. Now I got fucking hundreds of thousand people thinking Zen Habitats are a crap enclosure, even though the guy didn't look at any instructions. He built the thing wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. Actually, I reached out to Zen Habitats, and I'm like, hey, you guys should give me an enclosure so I can help stop this. Because
I'll take a quick second to answer a comment. Charles asked, how did we get to collab with you, Dakota?
You DM'd me and I said yes because I love doing interviews, and no one asked me. I don't know why. I feel like, I don't know. I don't like, I'm not family friendly, so I think a lot of people are like, oh, this dude, he has a face tattoo. We don't want him on our podcast.
Dude, I love tattoos. Like, the second I'm old enough, I'm getting like back pieces, full sleeves. I mean, I'm
for sure. I'm just now. Well, I mean, you can see. I don't know. This year's really opened my eyes. I'm like, fuck it. So I'm getting my throat done in a couple of months. I'm gonna add on to the other side of my head, more face tattoos, things like that. I'm just going all in.
Yeah. Yeah, I really do love tattoos.
And going back to the Go Herping point is he says he's promoting good husbandry.
He's not.
Yeah, I know. Like, one of my friends bought a king snake off him, and it had an RI. Like, how does a king snake even get an RI?
They're like the hardiest species, man. They're so.
Yeah. I mean, you can like really abuse king snakes and nothing's gonna happen. So you gotta really. I don't understand. So like, I mean, the guy's a glorified flipper. I mean, great business model, impeccable. You start getting shit off of Craigslist and then flipping it, and now you got people just giving you animals and then just selling them back. So incredible business model.
Look, kudos to him. I mean,
exactly. Kudos to that aspect. Why is he being put on a pedestal for this as this grand rescuer? That's not the case.
Yeah. I think also the problem is he's taking in these animals that he just shouldn't be keeping in such a house, like his green iguanas and the amount of tegus he's kept, and his Savannah monitor. I mean, dude, those things are like rocks, and his is like dwarfed and is like, it doesn't look good,
And another thing is, like, everyone focuses on hating Brian Barczyk in particular. He's in no way a saint, but then I'll look at some of their Instagrams, and they're all following Jay from Prehistoric Pets.
Cool. I think, look, I hate to say it, and I lived in LA for 11 years, right? I've been to Prehistoric Pets.
Oh shit! So you were in the United States and you went to Norway?
Netherlands.
The Netherlands. Sorry.
Right, so
hey, congratulations! You got out. You got out in the good spot. We're pretty much a fucking dumpster fire right now.
Like, I've been to Prehistoric Pets, and when I was a kid, I saw nothing wrong with it. It was like the best place ever, Little kid growing up with reptiles, going to a place like that. I mean, come on. But like, now that I know more, I mean, Jesus, I can name 100 things wrong with him and the things he does. I mean, it's just reviews, honestly. Like, I truly think he does. I think he likes the animals, but I think he does like feedings when there's no feedings needed for views. I think he does certain handlings that are pointless for views that stress the animals. I think his animals are not healthy. I cannot find a single snake of his that's not severely obese and like on the verge of death.
And one more thing is that he glorifies handling the Goliath bird-eating spider, which could give you some pretty serious injuries.
Yeah.
But then he holds it 3 or 4 feet off the ground, and if that falls, it will go. It'll just like a water balloon.
Yeah, their abdomen.
Just like a water balloon.
You know,
I can't comment on Jake's. I've never followed Jay's Exotic. I don't know, maybe I just went on the Brian Barczyk train when I first got in the hobby, but only some like a couple of years ago I actually knew. I was like, oh, this is Jay, but I never really taken a look at his YouTube channel or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, when it comes to Brian, I mean, I think, you know, people say he just does it for the views. I genuinely think he has a deep love for the animals he works with. I think, you know, the Reptarium, I think, is amazing, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, look at, like, what's the anaconda's name?
Ivy.
Ivy.
That cage is just brilliant. I mean, it's amazing. And
I think,
you know,
and if he was doing things for views, I don't get how adding substrate to a ball python habitat is going to get him loads of views. Like, he's been doing that with most of his racks now.
Yeah, I know. He's just started switching all his ball pythons.
And the thing of it is, most of the problems that people have with Brian are either things that are like 4 to 7 years old at this point. It's old news. He's improved on that, or it's something that is pretty much the standard for any big breeder.
Yeah.
I mean, even your bigger, you know, commercial sized breeders or wholesalers, they all keep their animals like that. So for you to, you know, he gets so much hate for the things that like Kevin McCurdy at Nerd is doing the same exact thing, yet for some reason doesn't. You got a bunch of slack for the scaleless ball python, yet Nerd's working with scaleless and nothing. A bunch of problems with the spider ball python. Nerd is the founder of the spider ball python, yet not as much slack.
Yeah. And like, Kevin literally, it's weird because he posts videos of him getting bitten of tokay geckos pretty much for fun, and everyone loves it. But if Brian was to do something like that, you can just imagine the response.
Like that animal's stressed, that animal's like clearly not happy, you know, like you're irritating it, you know, stuff like that. I also think, you know, the things that happened 7 years ago, for example, those were okay back then, you know? We didn't
the hobby is always evolving.
And, you know, for them to go back on it now, I think it's just childish. I really think it's just childish.
Look, if you go back 7 years for anyone, well, one, most of the people that have shit with Brian weren't in the hobby 7 years ago, for starters. Number two, if you go back and look at the ways that I've been keeping animals, you know, in my year 1, year 2, and I was documenting that, I'd probably get shit on too now.
Yeah, like,
I mean, I never recorded it, but like I've been keeping for about 9 years now. But like back when I was a kid, you know, like, I don't know, 10, 8, something around there, you know, 8 to 10, I was keeping like communal leopard geckos on sand with infrared heat lights.
Because that was the thing back then. That was like, that's what you were told to do. That was the general information that was out there.
And you can tell most of the people that have hate on Brian have literally just gone and watched the Go Herping video.
Go Herping video or the whatever video.
Bruh, I swear.
Which 90% of that shit is just shit that was from a skit, is old news, and just wrong. You can say, so something I actually just recently found out. I used to be a Brian hater, I'll be honest. I was in that, you know, year 2, had a chip on my shoulder. I keep reptiles. I keep 12 reptiles. I'm big. This guy uses rack systems, horrible. You know, not seeing the bigger picture. And there's always that the one photo going around about the monitors in the tub system. Like, that's fucked up. And a lot of people agree with that. But something I just found out recently was that actually wasn't their enclosure. He wasn't keeping them in tub systems. He was feeding them in tub systems. Now, I don't know why. I mean, again, this is back in what, I think 2007. So I don't know what the principles and the information was out there at that point.
I thought, like, if you feed your reptiles in the cage, they're gonna have cage.
They're gonna be cage aggressive, something like that. But Yeah, no, he's to this day in 2020, he still gets shit like you keep monitors and rack systems. Like, no, I don't. I have like elaborate zoo exhibits for him now.
Yeah,
I,
like
I personally think like some of his reptile exhibits are better than some zoos I've been to. You know, I mean, dude, take his crocodile monitor enclosure, dude. That thing's amazing.
That thing's pretty badass.
yeah, and like another thing is everyone is hating on, well, back when it came to the shedding the snakes issue. Remember that from the Taylor Nicole Dean
Taylor
thing.
Nicole Dean.
Like,
That was
I
good
don't
shit.
get why she can make a judgment. I mean, have you seen her husbandry? She's moved 4 times within the last few years, and that's obviously not going to be great for the animal. She
And
bought
like,
a monitor, a black throat monitor, even though it's a roughneck.
I loved that. Yeah, I remember that shit that she got. She was like, I only buy captive bred because wild caught is bad and you should never buy wild caught. And then she's like, look at my black throw. I'm like, what a dipshit.
Yeah, and then yeah, and another thing, going back to cage aggression, is that's old news. I've got an Amazon tree boa, and it's the smartest, and it's probably one of the nicest snakes I own at the moment.
yeah,
And
I
I
mean,
feed it within the, yeah,
I
feed it within the
keep all
cage.
my animals in the cage. I mean, my monitors and my tegu, I'll take them out, but that's different. Just let them run
Yeah,
around, feed them outside, right? But my boa, for example, I mean, he is so food motivated. I mean, I have some. He bit me like right here once,
yeah,
and he bit my muscle, and I couldn't move my hand for a week because he bit it so bad. But like, it's not cage aggression. It's just some animals are food motivated.
Oh, I've been torn up on my Tegu a couple of times. I had him once bite my pinky and then like get into into the corner, stuff like that. But it's never been like, it's mostly they like miss the tongs and then go for the hand.
Yeah, my Tegu, she's super sweet. I mean, she's a little bit like head shy. She kind of moves away if you try to go for her head. But once you start getting the scratches in, she goes to sleep and she's chill. She walks around. The one thing that she just scares me with, yeah, is her nails. And that's like, I know that they're big lizards and they have nails, but my God, dude. Oh, dude, I got some wrist cuts from her, right? Pretty deep ones. I was on the public bus, right? Because that's like the common thing in the Netherlands. And
Yeah.
this woman walks up to me and she's like, "Are you depressed? Do you want to talk?" And I'm like, dude, it was the worst experience of my life. But that's the one thing that I really dislike about the big lizards. But at the
Yeah, I
same
had
time,
my Argus. My Argus female made a dash out of the enclosure. I had to catch her, and she ripped up my arms. I actually stopped using my hands, so I was like using my arms to control her because she was just ripping my hands apart.
yeah, my Tegu's spicy when it comes to climbing. She doesn't sit still. So if I'm picking her up, she just pushes and climbs on my neck and jumps and like, until she's on the floor and then she's just like strolling around. But yeah, I don't know. I think she's definitely, an animal that's brought my expertise and my care and my confidence with animals to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was really a different experience when I got her. Especially because I got her when she was pretty decent size. I got her when she was like 3 foot.
There you go.
Get her as a baby. And at that time, I had my Savannah monitor, but he was just a foot, half a foot.
Mm-hmm.
He was still a baby. So, I didn't get that big lizard feel yet, but she really taught it to me.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, well, we're out of questions. I mean, if you want to talk about anything else, just have some general chat or whatever.
I don't know. You guys got anything?
I don't have any new things, no. I mean, one thing that I do really want to work with is try to breed my Deathstalker. The one problem with it is they have a gestation period that's like longer than humans.
Yeah, it's like 12 months for 12 months for Deathstalkers.
I read anywhere from 10 to 12, but it's a long ass time. And I'm so impatient when it comes to those things. I'm just like, babies, So that's the one thing holding me back. But other than that, I'll probably start that pretty soon. Just more input stuff. I plan to breed my ghost mantises. Let's see what else. My OBT, my orange baboon. Probably gonna breed her.
Nice. We get into like the insect stuff.
Yeah, I've been getting into that pretty recently. When I was in LA, I had a Asian forest scorpion.
Mhm.
She was nice. She got me into inverts and the bugs, into keeping them. I always went outside and caught them and stuff. But and then just when I moved to the Netherlands, I got a tarantula. I got the um, green bottle blue. The green bottle blue.
That was gonna be mine. That was gonna be my first. I wanted the green bottle blue.
I remember the stream when you.
I can't remember. It was either you or you. One of you suggested the green bottle blue.
Yeah,
yeah. And I looked into. I was like, oh, those. I love the blues. I wanted something to more be of display. I love the webbing. I used to have some I worked at in a.
I'll show you my
years back.
Pink toe cage. He webbed beautifully.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted a cool bioactive enclosure and just have something like that. I think that would have been so rad.
Yeah. This is just my basic green bottle blue enclosure. It's here at the moment. It's just a spiderling,
mine passed away. Like I rehoused her. She was still young. I rehoused her and then just bam, she just died. Really pissed me off. That was my first tarantula ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I have my OBT on the table with me, but I don't know how it's gonna work because I just realized she's molted up. Not molted up. Can you see through there?
It's a bit of a glare.
Yeah.
Pretty
but
web.
they web insane. Yeah.
She webbed the roof to the bottom. And I don't know. Do you know the behavior of orange baboons?
No.
They're called the OBT, which stands for the orange bitey thing, for a reason.
They're spicy. Yeah. So I'm scared to open it and she's gonna bolt or do something because it's all attached that will piss her off. But
yeah, we had a jumping spider a little bit ago that did the same thing. He built his web right where the lid is, and I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do now, bud?
Well, she didn't. They're terrestrial, the OBTs. She built it on the floor, and then she just made like a tunnel that connected it to the ceiling. And I'm like, next time I feed her, I have to use scissors to cut it because if I just pull it, it'll rip the whole substrate out.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm getting really into the inverts. I gotta say, one of the favorite inverts that Ben keeps is the toe biter.
Oh yeah, the giant water bug. I'll see if I can get that out in a minute. But just going back to scorpions, is you need a flat surface, say something like this, so that they can lay down their spermatozoa. Otherwise, they won't breed.
The scorpions.
Yeah, and it's frustrating. I've been trying to breed Heterometrus putisi, which are Asian forest scorpions, for the past 18 months. And
wait, did you say 18?
Yeah, 18 months.
Holy
and
God.
I've seen nothing. They're probably one of the easiest species to breed. I've had more luck breeding spiders, which is said to be one of the harder invertebrates to breed, than the scorpions.
Really? I was expecting spiders to be easier. I mean, I was, when I was doing research into the mantis breeding, I gotta say, I was kind of like terrified because, you hear all the time they eat the males and, stuff like that. But like when I actually started doing some research, apparently like if you're careful and you feed the female before breeding, like they tend not to eat the male.
If you feed the female whilst breeding as well.
Yeah.
Just give her like a roach.
You have to like place the male onto the female or like right next to her with tweezers. And then while the male's on her, you feed her. And then the male does the deed and she's eaten and then separate them.
So with all the spiders and stuff, did you guys ever have a, because, it's like the common thing, arachnophobia. Did you guys ever have any difficulty, going in and handling them your first time when you got your first one? Or is that just something where like you never had anything like that and you never had any issues?
I mean, when I was like 8 years old, I would handle black widows, which is probably the dumbest thing I've ever done.
When I was like, I think like 10 or 11, my mom caught a black widow and we like fed it some crickets at Petco for like a couple of days and observed it and then eventually just released it back out.
Yeah, like I would go out and like, everyone in my neighborhood knew I was like the weird invert kid,
Yeah.
And like they would go to my house and be like, I have a black widow in my garden. I'm like freaking out and like go there and just like put it in my hand and walk away with it without saying anything to them. And I would walk in my house with this black widow in my hand. One time my mom got so freaked, she just smacked me. She just straight out of my hands, like didn't
It's
smack
like
me, like just
Yeah,
smacked
yeah,
the
no,
spider out of
no.
my hands, right? And I was like, well, why'd you do that? And then she explained that they're venomous, and I just like would always go out and handle them in secret so my mom didn't find out. And then she just kind of got used to me doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really that, kiddo who would go out and flip rocks in their neighbor's garden. And, I remember I would always go out and catch like Western fence lizards and alligator lizards in my garden. And then like I would keep them in like a terrarium for a couple days. And like whenever I got sad, I would go out and hold them in my garden and be like, you love me, don't you? And then they'd always just run away and I would get like super sad and shit.
it's
Yeah.
like, but it's like when you get your first snake, you're wary of it for like a week or two, and then you just
I was never wary of my first snake, Well,
yeah.
my first snake was like a green grass snake, the cricket eaters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It was like this big. Yeah. So I was never scared of that. And then I got my corn snake, and I got him as just a little baby. And same thing. I mean, he bit me once, but like he was so small he didn't even break skin. So.
yeah. But they sit there. You won't see them for a few months, and that's about it with spiders. This is the thing in my collection I'm most scared of. So this is the giant water bug, also known as the toe biter.
Dude, those things are crazy, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben, you want to explain why they're called toe biters?
So they sit in the water like that and wait for small fish and stuff to come by. And then they grab it using those front legs, and they've got a little proboscis in between those, which they use to stab into the fish, and that submits a venom. But then also known for grabbing swimmers and people in shallow water, and it will cause immense pain for like a solid hour and a half after the bite.
I got when I was a kid, I got stung by a little one, like a smaller one of those species. Dude,
Yeah.
I was like crying for hours, and I was like, "Mommy, the water attacked me."
Yeah. And they are really weird, but they're awesome.
I've seen feeding videos, people feeding those, and dude, they're just so cool. You put like a cricket next to them, and they just bomb,
Yeah.
Awesome. I really want to get one. They're kind of hard to find here, though.
They are very
I've never
hard
heard
to
of them
find.
until now.
You should research them. They're super cool. They're really interesting. They have a lot of cool evolutionary. What's the word?
Advancements. What's running?
So they're cool.
Yeah, they're cool. Yeah, no, I do that all the time. I gotta stop my videos and be like, shit, what was that word I was thinking of?
Right. Yeah. It's kind of annoying, but like I don't have any friends like near me that are actually interested in like animals, right?
Mm.
I've kind of always just done my own thing. Sometimes like if I get really excited, I'll just like tell my friends about it, and you can tell it in their eyes. Are like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
But they really think I'm like crazy or something like that. But I don't know. But that's why stuff like this is super fun. It's just like get to talk with people who have the same interests as you and have the same hobby and the passion as you.
Yeah, exactly.
Learn from each other and
yeah, I learned something new today. I learned what a toe biter was.
There you go. Just stuff like that. But yeah, I guess we don't really have much else to talk about. I don't know unless you have anything last you want to say or.
What's Ben doing? What's he getting?
Yeah, I had to get back because it went on a run.
Oh, okay.
But the tarantula pairing I did earlier on in the stream was successful, so that's good.
Cool.
Congratulations, man. The one bummer thing though is, you could do it, but like we never ship inverts from like the Netherlands to England.
Yeah, like I could do that, but I don't feel comfortable doing it yet.
Same. It's just like a little bit, too far overseas, and sometimes the European postage is a little bit of a pain when it comes to stuff like that. But man, I
could
suppose
do
I
it.
want baby spiders.
Yeah, and it's not worth it for like a sun tiger thing. I mean, they're like €6. Not even
€6. The
that.
postage on it alone is going to be like 3 times the amount.
Yeah, I think in the Netherlands, like postage, next day postage start anywhere in the Netherlands, I think it's like €7. And I think if I had to ship anything to England, that was next day, be probably 35, 40.
Yeah.
Man, that's it. I've been
Yeah,
spending
like,
an excess of like 90 recently with the
Bruh.
whole
yeah.
COVID thing.
Yeah.
I think my most expensive one was one of the monitors, and they wanted like $92 in shipping.
It's
Jeez.
different because with vertebrates here, it would be like £40, which is like $60 or so.
Yeah.
But invertebrates don't seem to count, so that's only like £10 posting.
Yeah. You know, in the Netherlands, it's actually completely illegal to ship reptiles.
Well, I heard over in Europe, it's also you guys like have some weird things, like the package always has to be GPS tracked or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a. Whenever I order I only order inverts online, but like whenever I order a mantis, they send me a track and trace code, and you can see when your post is
Yeah, Reptiles Express has been working on some GPS trackers for boxes for us to
It's really handy. It's
import
really
over to the UK and other places in Europe.
yeah. It's nice. It's a nice extra, that they pop in there. But yeah, it's completely illegal to ship reptiles in the Netherlands, which is a little bit of a bummer. I don't have a car, so I have to go with the bus or the train everywhere.
Yeah.
And that can take a while.
Like, I generally don't ship reptiles because I've got a good few good stores and breeders near me. Yeah, I don't really need to, but
yeah, for me, the closest like reptile store is like 2 hours by train.
Oh wow.
So that's why, whenever I buy a reptile, I either rent a car and go rent a car, but that's expensive,
Wait, how would you got to be to rent a car over there?
Oh, with my father. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I was like, I can't even rent a car yet.
No. No, I'm not renting it myself, sadly. But either that or I just wait till there's a show and then just like pick up all the things that I need, all the animals that I want, and
Yeah.
go. But shows are not very common here, and if they are, they're usually small. Like I think the only big show that we have in the Netherlands is the Houten show, and then the big one in Europe is the Ham. Those are like the two big ones. Yeah. You guys have the NARBC, right?
Yeah, I don't think I've been to it because I think that's the one in Texas, which is funny because I lived in Texas for like 18 years and then moved up here and got into the hobby. So I don't think I've ever been to one. I haven't gone to Tinley either, just because Chicago is a bit of a drive over from New England.
Also, like, do you go to shows? Like,
Yeah. I try to go to most of the shows around. And I tried to hit up White Plains this year, but obviously that didn't happen. Three expos in 1 month. I was so stoked, man. April. There's going to be the 7th, the 11th, and the 24th. It was going to be huge. I saved so much money to just blow. Then all of a sudden, lockdown happened. And it hasn't been the same since.
I'm super scared that the Houten show, which is where I plan to get a bunch of inverts, geckos. I'm probably going to get 2 or 3 pairs of geckos, Going to really start some breeding stuff there. And I'm just so scared we're going to go into another lockdown and it's going to get canceled or something like that.
I'm just waiting for it,
Yeah.
Dante, enough.
Dude, I mean, on the topic of parrots, man, the farm where I work, we have 2 blue and golds and 2 galah cockatoos.
Mm.
And I've been training them for the past 1.5 years now. They're super nice. I love parrots so much.
Yeah, my whole job was hand raising macaws and stuff for a couple of years.
You said that, yeah. That's sick. Honestly, I'm so used to parrots screaming. I just like don't even notice it anymore.
The problem is if he keeps going, the dogs go off then, and then it's a whole orchestra of noise.
That's the one reason I would get a parrot right now, but 2 reasons I can't. One, I'm in an apartment building.
Yeah, that was the hardest thing. I couldn't find an apartment, so I ended up just getting a house. Because there's no apartments that would let you have this many animals.
Yeah, I mean, my apartment, they know I have caged animals, but I think they're more thinking hamster, so I hope they don't find out.
Yeah, there you go. I said it. I was like, yeah, I got a bird. It's like they're like, oh, like a parakeet? I'm like, yeah, like a parakeet.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, they never go in my house, so I doubt they're going to find out, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
fine.
I don't have enough room even for a small bird. I've just got my bedroom, which has got all my reptiles in it, and then 30 odd spiders.
Hmm.
Yeah, I kind of made a deal with my mom, and the deal was, I give up my room so she can do her work, and then I set up like a little separate room somewhere else in the house, and then I can get a private room for just my animals. And that was
There you
nice because whenever I had my animals in my bedroom, it was so hot with the heat lights, and it was just miserable to sleep there.
Yeah, all these rooms are so hot. I'm doing this in here, and it's like 80 degrees.
Yeah, like my animal room is nice. I think it's like 77, 80 in there.
Yeah.
So pretty nice. It's nice when you because it's so cold here most of the year. You walk out, you're all freezing cold, and you walk into my animal room. It's like,
Yeah, you go upstairs in my building, and it's like it's cold. I don't heat the downstairs portion, so you like start walking up, and then there's just like this gradient of like warm, hot.
right. So I was a little bit confused. So you have your house, which is what you're in now, right?
Yep.
And then you have your reptile building, which has the attic,
Yeah.
where most of your reptiles are, and then you're working on the downstairs portion for like monitors.
Yeah. So well, the only reason, so obviously in New England it gets cold, like real cold. Well, you guys know, it's probably the same,
Yeah.
relatively the same climate. So there's no like central heating or AC or anything like that. So the first thing I ran into, I got the building where it was about spring, and downstairs it's about 40 degrees if it's in the single digits outside, and heating that part to what I would need just a minimum to be around that 60-degree ambient, and just using supplemental heating for everything, that would run me about $600 a month just for the lower portion, not to mention any of the extra lights. So
Cool.
at that point, it wasn't liable for me to.
Yeah.
It's just too big of a space. Upstairs is insulated and it's pretty, it's closed off. It's not this giant open space. You have this nice ported off. I use 4K insulation foam, so everything's nice and tucked. So I usually get away with just using a regular space heater at night to get that 60, 63 ambient temps, and then during the day it heats up to around 78, 79 just for the vast majority of heat lights I have up there.
Yeah, I mean, even just with I only have like 4 heat lamps going for my lizards, my tortoises, and the boa. Now I have them set up with one.
Yeah.
And dude, and all my heat pads, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I rack up a bill, man. It's not cheap.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, we spend quite a bit of electricity over here.
Yeah. When I'm 15, I'm gonna get a job, and then I can not only buy more animals, but start being able to afford more animals.
Yeah.
Not only for the animal itself, but for the costs of the care for the animal.
Just wait till you breed, then you can buy $1,000 worth of animals.
Bruh, your new Tokay gecko, badass.
Oh, I love that Tokay gecko. I was like, I paid it off I think I talked to her in like April about a super red. She said she'd have one and she'd let go of him in like December. And I was like, cool, I'm going to put a deposit. And so I just slowly paid that off. So it wasn't as bad than just handing over $3,000. But still, like, I had to let go of my MBK pair. And I was like, oh man, was this worth it, man? Like, I just spent a lot. Like, I could have gotten like 7 ball pythons, whatever. Like, I could use that money in a lot of other stuff. And then I unboxed that thing and I was like, no, this is the right choice. This thing's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm here standing. I spent like 400 on my Tegu, and dude, I was thinking like, holy shit, that's a lot of money to spend on an animal, especially when you're a kid, bro.
No, for sure. When I first bought my Quince monitor, I think that was my most expensive animal. It was like $550, and I'm like, God damn, that's a lot of money. And then just all of a sudden, it skyrocketed.
I'm just like dreaming for the day when I can afford like those $1,000 animals, I really want to breed albino tegus, albino reds.
Yeah, albino reds are cool.
But I think they have to be purebred for them to be cool. I mean, you see all the people in America, they're starting to like hybridize the tegus. I don't care if you hybridize animals. I'm just like not a big fan of it. Like when it comes to the looks, I think they look better pure.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's doing like, I think there's just too many breeders now, so everyone's trying to do like the new thing to keep to be relevant.
Yeah, like the
And-
purples, I think they're like 75% red, 10%
There's some
black.
crazy, and you know what? Not only that, you can't mix a red and a black and white and be like it's 50-50. I'm like, that's not how genetics work. You can't just say
You cannot just say it's
50% came from this, 50 came from this, and now they're like, this one is 25% black and white, 15% blue, 15% blue mixed with a red, and then 8% purple. And I'm like, what the fuck are you even doing?
Where do you
Bullshit.
get those numbers? Where do you get those? Like,
Yeah, where are you? Besides pulling them out of your ass, where are you getting those numbers?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I mean, they make some pretty cool things. I've seen some guys that are they've got like these like blue tegus with these like bold orange stripes, and the entire belly's orange. I'm like, that makes up for it. But
have you seen Tropical Reptiles down in Florida? He produced the first Pink Panther tegus.
Yeah, I've seen the Pink Panther. Yeah. Oh, what did you say? Did you say underground reptiles?
No, it was either underground or Tropical Reptiles.
I've seen him from underground. I didn't see Tropical Reptiles, but I saw
remember,
underground reptiles. I've been doing a bunch of tegus stuff.
Yeah, those are stunners, man. Stunners. They're awesome. But yeah. I want to get into the Savannah monitor breeding. Doing a lot of research on that and just like figuring everything out with it. And I really want to get everything down with that. That seems like such a cool thing. There's like, my Savannah was actually captive bred from a guy in Germany.
Oh, that's awesome. There's like very few captive bred Savannah monitors up here.
I was real happy. I mean, I was willing to get an import or like a wild caught, but I was real happy to find out he was captive bred. That's just like a brilliant
You're just gonna have a better time with it.
Yeah, exactly. But I really want to try to breed the Savannah monitors. This seems like such a rewarding project if it's successful. Yeah. I'm out, man. I'm out of questions. I'm out of things to talk about, honestly. We're gone for almost an hour and a half now, which was...
There you go. I mean, if we're good, I, of course, still have so much stuff to feed.
Same. Tonight, I got to feed all the snakes, got to feed the lizards, got to feed half the inverts, so I think it's best that we get going.
Always a fun time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
hey,
thanks for joining us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Man. Maybe we do this another time, yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. See you later, bro.
Awesome.
Bye.